man exploring an abandoned bus on his own managed to capture something truly unsettling on camera. Right as he was preparing to climb aboard, a mysterious figure materialized in one of the windows and stopped him dead in his tracks. See for yourself what the camera caught. As he cautiously moves toward the bus and attempts to step inside, a chilling figure abruptly appears in the window. Shaken, he immediately looks in to investigate, only to find the space completely empty. On closer examination, the shape in the window looks like a woman with a deeply disturbing face. So here's the real question. Was this an actual supernatural encounter, or was the footage tampered with after the fact? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you believe. This next clip, a woman has her camera pointed at the house next door after spotting something that immediately set off alarm bells. Something didn't seem right inside the neighbor's garage. What made this especially unsettling was the fact that the neighbor wasn't home. They had gone away on vacation, nowhere near the area, yet somehow the lights in that garage were on. The woman filming happened to be walking past when she caught this detail, but the longer she stood there watching, the more her unease turned into something far worse. See for yourself what unfolded. As she keeps her eye fixed on the garage trying to make sense of it, this is where things get truly disturbing. A figure suddenly sprints back and forth in what can only be described as a frenzied, erratic way. It keeps moving like that for several seconds before abruptly coming to a stop, and then turning to look directly out the garage window, almost like it had become aware of the woman standing there with her camera. If the neighbor was hundreds of miles away on vacation, then just who or what was moving around inside that garage? Like so many clips before it, this one has never been explained. The woman was keeping a quiet vigil at her ailing mother's bedside when the elderly woman suddenly grew agitated and began speaking about angels. Unsure what to make of it, she gently asked her mother where these angels were. Without a moment's pause, the old woman slowly raised her arm and directed her finger toward the ceiling. She followed her mother's gaze upward, scanning every inch above her, but found absolutely nothing. Pushing past her growing unease, she turned back and softly told her mother that she wasn't able to see them. She pressed a little further, asking whether the angels were bringing her mother any comfort. Here's what the camera recorded. Then, barely above a breath, she asked how many there were, and her mother answered simply, 4. There are those who believe the dying are granted a glimpse of something beyond our world in their final hours. But whatever was happening in that room, it left this woman deeply shaken. So what do you think the old woman was actually seeing? A woman named Hannah purchased a toy for her child, completely unaware that something sinister might be lurking inside it. One evening, she had Quran verses playing softly from her phone, hoping to fill the room with peaceful energy, when the toy's eyes suddenly did something that stopped her cold. See for yourself. If you pay close attention, the pupils in that toy are visibly shifting on their own, almost as if whatever's inside is scanning the room. For Hannah, this hit differently because this wasn't some random object. It was sitting right there in her child's hands. It was supposed to be an innocent plaything, yet those eyes came to life.
When I first saw it, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way. It has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it. My son comes. He's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know. Let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life.
Hannah believes the toy is inhabited by a spirit, or jinn, and that playing the Quran forced its true nature to reveal itself. Plenty of skeptics pushed back in the comments, suggesting camera tracking technology, a trick of the light, or some kind of glitch. But then she posted a follow-up with detailed close-up photos, and that's where things got harder to dismiss. The eyes are simply embroidered onto fabric. No hidden motors, no internal mechanisms of any kind. She isn't making this up. That evidence alone flipped a lot of people's opinions. Those pupils were genuinely moving, and that just isn't something a basic fabric toy should be able to do. So, was there really something supernatural inhabiting this thing? Or have you got a rational explanation for what we just saw? Jay runs a TikTok account where he shares all kinds of content, none of it ever touching on the paranormal, until he decided to give the Ouija board a try. That experiment didn't go well at all. Ever since that night, he says whenever he's alone in the house, he starts hearing strange sounds, and he deeply regrets opening the door to whatever he may have let in. One evening, while he was mid-session playing Rocket League, he picked up on something unsettling and pulled out his phone to document it. Here's the footage he got.
Alright, so I'm sitting here playing Rocket League at the moment. Every time I'm here by myself, I swear this place is haunted. I've been fucking around with Ouija boards and I was stupid enough to bloody invite demons to possess me and shit because I didn't believe in it. But ever since then, every time I'm here by myself, I hear shit outside. So I'm playing Rocket League. It's fucking... Oh, did you hear that? Oh, what the fuck? No fucking way. No fucking way. Hello? Is anybody here? Holy shit, why is that fucking moving? Hello? Is anybody here? Oh my god, man. What the fuck? No fucking shit. Hello? I heard you. No. No fucking way. No fucking way. Oh my god. Hello? And I swear I just saw a fucking shadow moving here. So what's with this fucking light switch? Oh man, I'm absolutely fucking shitting myself. No. That can't be. Fuck off. Holy fucking shit. Nah, fuck this. Oh no. Nah, fuck this. I'm out of here. Goodbye.
A disturbing noise drifts in from somewhere beyond the room, and not long after that, he bolts from the house entirely after witnessing objects shifting on their own with no explanation. He stopped sleeping there altogether after that. Then, roughly 4 days later, he returned to the property and made a chilling discovery.
Hello, everyone. I've been getting lots of people asking me for an update on the ghost stuff, but to be honest, I haven't really been home much since Friday night, since all that went down. But I've just kind of gotten home and turned my telly on and stuff and leant over here and noticed something on my cabinet thing. And yeah, right, you're probably going to give me shit about how dusty it is, but whatever. I don't dust. But what the hell is that? It looks like a handprint or something. Oh, check it out. Wait. It's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers and a thumb. And the thumbprint's way bigger than... I didn't even notice it had 5 fingers. That's weird. Oh, well. I don't even know if I want to know what that is, to be honest, but there's the best update.
What Jay found was a deeply unsettling handprint, 5 fingers plus a thumb, left somewhere inside the home. A lot of his followers have been urging him to install security cameras throughout the house to keep watch and hopefully catch whatever creature or presence may have left that mark behind. Either way, it really feels like this whole situation is only just getting started. Head over to Jay's TikTok page if you want to keep up with however this unfolds. When a home security camera picked up something deeply unsettling at 2:45 in the morning, see for yourself what unfolded. Out of nowhere, a sharp burst of light flares up, immediately drawing the dog's attention, and then the door creaks open just a crack, and that's when a ghostly white face appears to peer around the edge of it before sliding back out of sight. Moments later, the silhouette of what appears to be a small boy materializes in the hallway, lingering there briefly before fading away into the dark. Then, as if once wasn't enough, that same pale face emerges from behind the door a second time, right before one final blinding flash lights up the frame. Brandy has no rational explanation for the sequence of events she's watching herself live through on that footage, and she's been very clear. In all her years, this is the first time she's ever encountered anything she'd call paranormal. The TikTok account displayed here belongs to a guy named Mike, who came across an abandoned elementary school tucked away deep in the forest, miles from the nearest town or residence. For years, locals had whispered about the place being haunted. Driven by curiosity, Mike chose to check it out for himself. The second he stepped inside, a creeping unease washed over him, like something invisible was tracking his every move. It was obvious the place had sat empty for a long time. Every corner told the same story: dust, rot, and the marks of vandalism. Still, despite the unsettling atmosphere, Mike pressed on. What unfolded next is something he'll never be able to shake. At the opposite end of the corridor, two tall, shadowy figures stand motionless. Mike didn't hesitate for even a moment. He spun on his heels, sprinted to the closest window, and got out without once glancing behind him. What makes this even more disturbing is how closely those figures resembled the ones sketched in a child's drawing he had noticed earlier. Could those illustrations have been some kind of warning left behind by someone who knew? Let us know what you make of this footage, and if you've ever found yourself in a situation like this, drop your story in the comments below. 7 years ago, a woman named Kathy, who runs the Paranormal Nightmares YouTube channel, moved into a new house alongside her husband and daughter. From the very beginning, something felt wrong. A heavy, suffocating presence seemed to hang over every room. It didn't take long for that unease to evolve into something impossible to ignore. Items would shift on their own, as though invisible hands were reaching out and touching them. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Kathy set up cameras all around the house, and what they recorded over the years has been deeply unsettling. Footage that still leaves her with no answers about whatever it is that shares her home with her. For a period, the strange activity appeared to die down completely, but one evening after a day out with her husband, Kathy came home to find objects in her bedroom, rearranged with no clear cause. When she pulled up the camera footage, what she saw shook her to her core. The closet door had begun trembling violently, almost as if something trapped inside was desperate to get out. That eerie rattling continued for a while before the door slowly slid open on its own, drifting to the right to reveal a closet packed with clothing. Kathy looked for a rational explanation and couldn't find one. In the days that followed, another one of her cameras would record something far more disturbing. Down in her basement, a camera trained on her couch captured what appeared to be a sudden indentation forming in one of the cushions. Nobody was in the room, yet it looked exactly like someone had just sat down. A moment later, the cushion slowly pushed back up, as though an invisible figure had risen to its feet. Then a lamp to the left began shifting before it toppled completely off the surface it was resting on. The footage left Kathy rattled, but she had no idea what that same camera was about to capture next. While the recording was still running, a strange haze began materializing out of nowhere. This translucent, smoke-like cloud seemed to appear from thin air before vanishing just as suddenly as it had formed. It's yet another deeply unsettling chapter in the long and growing list of inexplicable things happening inside Kathy's home. The next clip was captured by a police officer named Jesus Vargas. Jesus works the overnight beat, and one evening while making his rounds through the streets of Nayarit, Mexico, alongside his partner, the two stumbled upon something they couldn't quite explain. Two small figures appear to be playing inside a school that should be completely shut down before suddenly screaming and bolting out of sight. What makes the whole thing deeply unsettling is that these figures seem wrapped in shadow, almost like pure silhouettes. Even with the patrol lights flashing nearby, not a single facial feature or piece of clothing is distinguishable. On top of that, it was well past the hour when anyone should be there. The gates were locked, so how did two children get inside, and what kind of parent would let that happen? The officers swept the entire perimeter and turned up absolutely nothing. Come morning, they reached out to the school directly. Staff conducted a thorough walkthrough and confirmed the building had been fully cleared, with nobody left behind. Convinced they may have witnessed something beyond the natural world, the officers decided to return and look again.
Esta es la escuela. Ahorita le vamos a mostrar la puerta donde se miraron. Lo que se miró, no quiero decir qué es lo que se miró. Es esta. Esta es la puerta. Ya está una lona que no sé qué quiere decir. Vamos a bajar. Ay, cabrón, la chingue. Ese es el cancel. De verdad. Esta es la escuela por dentro. Son los salones.
They went back over the school grounds a second time, but everything appeared completely normal, and there were zero reports of any students gone missing that night. So the mystery still stands. Just who or what were those figures? Both officers have come to believe they may have been the spirits of children bound to that school, endlessly reliving their last moments on Earth. Two girls were hanging out together, casually chatting while browsing their phones with the camera recording. Everything looked completely ordinary until something deeply unsettling made itself known. See for yourself what unfolded next.
not joking. Something just took my hair.
What do you mean something fucking took
I
your hair?
don't know.
Something fucking
No,
took my
I'm coming out. I'm coming out.
Without any warning, one of the girls feels her hair get yanked by some invisible presence. She reacts right away and alerts her friend, but initially, her friend brushes it off, assuming she's either joking around or letting her mind play tricks on her. Then, moments later, the second girl suddenly feels a tug on her own hair. Any doubt that something strange is going on vanishes in an instant. Both girls immediately come to the same terrifying realization. Whatever just occurred was far from normal. Fear takes over, and they waste absolutely no time bolting out of the room, visibly shaken by the whole ordeal. So what's your take? Was this some kind of unseen entity attempting to make contact? Or could there be a more rational explanation? A woman from Alberta, Canada, who goes by Rananus7 on TikTok, has a completely ordinary online presence. Her page is full of travel content and everyday vlogs, with absolutely no history of paranormal posting whatsoever. She works overnight shifts as a security guard at a site somewhere in Alberta. During one of her routine patrols, she spotted something deeply unsettling out in the distance, and immediately grabbed her phone to document it.
8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and we see something coming at us at midnight.
How is it? Really?
On first look, you might write it off as some trespasser wandering through the grass, but pay closer attention to how it moves. There's a fluid, uninterrupted glide to its motion that no human gait could produce. What makes it even more chilling is that when the footage is enhanced and brightened, the figure appears to have no face and no visible skin at all. Its entire body seems to be blanketed in dense, coarse fur. Shaken but unwilling to let it go, she made the decision to head back to the same location on a separate night to dig deeper. While surveying the area from inside her car, she managed to record the very same entity again, except this time,
By the same gate, seen something, and tried to back into a field we seen behind us. And yes, we are chickens.
it noticed her. The dread in this second clip is impossible to miss. The faceless figure is no longer drifting aimlessly along the boundary. It has zeroed in on them. As they remain seated in the vehicle, the creature begins moving with clear, deliberate intent straight toward the car. Gripped by panic, they slam into reverse to get away, but the entity keeps advancing steadily into the headlights, keeping pace with them every step of the way. Could this security guard have wandered directly into something's territory? This footage was captured inside a private medical facility in Argentina, known as Sanatorio Finocchietto. Somewhere around 3:30 in the morning, the hospital's security camera recorded something that's difficult to explain. The front entrance swung open on its own, as though an unseen figure had just stepped through. A moment later, the door eased shut behind this invisible arrival. A guard stationed at the reception desk got to his feet and walked over to check it out. What followed is where things get truly unsettling. He greeted whoever had just come in, as if he could see them plain as day. He reached for his clipboard, asked for a name, and actually recorded it in the visitor log. The two of them appeared to exchange a few words, after which the guard gestured down the corridor and led the apparent patient deeper into the building. He even went as far as offering them a wheelchair. The whole interaction looked completely routine, except for one detail that makes your skin crawl. No one else was ever visible in the frame. When staff went back to review the register afterward, they were stunned by what they found. The name the guard had written down belonged to a patient who had passed away in that same hospital just days before. So what do you make of that one? Our next clip comes from a paranormal investigation channel run by Sean Austin, which covers both music and ghost hunting content. Sean and his companion Eric make their way to the notorious Letchworth Village Asylum, a location with a serious reputation for supernatural activity. Rather than heading into the main building, the two decide to poke around one of the side dormitories, and their camera picks up something they weren't expecting.
You did?
Yeah, like right here. I'm not gonna touch it right here.
On your face?
Yeah,
It felt burning for a second? Right now.
A small, child-sized shape is visible standing in the corridor, yet neither of the investigators seems to notice it in the moment. It was actually Sean's audience who caught it first, flooding the comments with theories about what the figure could be, and the overwhelming consensus was that it's a ghost. Sean himself admitted the footage was absolutely wild, but we'll leave the final verdict up to you. Could this be a genuine spirit captured on camera, just like so many of his viewers are claiming? After finishing up their Christmas tree, Cristobal Cifuentes and his brother stood back and admired their handiwork. They snapped a photo to send to their mom, wanting to show her they had pulled it all together without any help. What should have been a cheerful little moment quickly took a strange turn. A couple of days later, their mother studied the photo and asked them a question that stopped them cold. Had anyone else been there that day? The brothers were caught off guard and told her they had been home alone the entire time, but she wasn't convinced, and she pointed them towards something deeply unsettling. There in the glass of a framed picture hanging near the tree, a face is visible, a woman, eyes shut, as though silently watching from somewhere in the room. The detail is impossible to brush off. Certain they had been by themselves, the brothers sat down with their mother and went over the image carefully. She didn't recognize the woman, but she noted with a shiver that the face bore a striking resemblance to a relative who had passed away some years before. Was this nothing more than a strange trick of light and shadow, or was something genuinely present that day, drawn in by the warmth of the season? It's a reminder that what seems like a perfectly ordinary moment can sometimes hide something far more difficult to explain. A woman by the name of Janet relocated to a new house back in March 2025, completely unaware that she was walking straight into what would become some of the most horrifying experiences of her entire life. In the beginning, she was documenting the whole moving in process on camera, but on one particular day, while she was recording herself working out inside the house, something absolutely terrifying unfolded out of nowhere. Here's what the footage shows.
remember? We're friends.
No, I don't remember. Please get out. Please get out of my apartment. Please get out of my apartment.
Without any warning, an unknown man appeared, seemingly having slipped inside her home without permission. Janet bolted and dialed the police immediately, but officers were unable to locate the intruder. What made things even stranger, though, was something else entirely. As Janet was fleeing in panic, the door directly ahead of her swung open on its own. She hadn't caught it in the moment, but viewers who watched the video back later were quick to point it out.
Date? I'm just as confused as you guys are. I have no fucking idea what happened. All I know is whatever happened, I'm grateful to whatever opened this door, because if this didn't open, I don't know, something.
Just a few days after that, things got even more disturbing. Late one night, while Janet was shooting a casual video with her cat, something truly nightmarish took place. See for yourself what was captured. This time around, whatever had entered the house wasn't a living person. It was something far harder to explain. As Janet rushed into her bedroom, a section of her mattress suddenly began pressing down, as though an invisible weight were standing right on top of it. Overcome with terror, Janet grabbed what she could and got out of the house immediately. Once more, she reached out to the police, who conducted a thorough search of every room and again found absolutely nobody. Janet ended up spending that entire night at a neighbor's place, unable to bring herself to go back. Eventually, after several days had passed, she returned to the house alongside a friend, and this is the moment everything changed.
It was right there between the green table and the bed, against the wall like this. No. Oh my God.
Janet is now firmly convinced that the property is haunted, and a large number of people have urged her to get out and never look back. So what's your take on all of this? Mark Sebastian has built a following by posting all kinds of content online, with a significant portion of his videos dedicated to road trips across America and stops at some of the country's most unusual and historically significant destinations. On one particular outing, he made the decision to spend the night at one of the most notorious locations in the entire nation, the iconic Stanley Hotel, nestled in the mountains of Colorado. The property has earned a global reputation as a hotspot for paranormal encounters. Both staff and visitors over the years have reported all manner of unexplained phenomena: disembodied sounds, phantom footsteps moving through deserted corridors, doors swinging open with no one nearby, and shadowy figures materializing out of nowhere. The hotel also holds a special place in pop culture history, having served as the inspiration behind Stephen King's legendary novel The Shining, which was later adapted into one of the most celebrated horror films ever made. Throughout his visit, Sebastian found himself captivated by the building's striking presence and the eerie tales that surrounded it. But it was during a late-night stroll around the outside of the grounds that things took a genuinely unsettling turn.
A lot of things are always like seen up here because this is the balcony where the owners used to hang out. You hear that? Holy shit. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I just saw someone move in that window. I'm gonna go right where I saw the This is the room where I saw something. You're not gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe it. Look in this window right here.
As he moved along the exterior, filming the hotel's facade, something caught his attention that stopped him cold. There, behind in one of the upper windows, the unmistakable outline of a human figure becomes visible, lingering for a brief moment before pulling back and disappearing from sight. What makes this especially chilling is that the room in question had been sealed off from the public. No guests were assigned there, and no staff should have been inside.
Isn't that creepy?
I'm glad you caught that though.
Me too.
You should show the tours.
Okay, I'll show the tours downstairs.
They
Okay.
really enjoy-
I confirmed with the staff that no one was in there. They don't do patrols inside of that room, and most certainly not at 2:30 a.m. I'm gonna go show it to you in the daytime so you can see it. That's the window, so someone must have been near where that chair is.
Footage like this tends to leave people with far more questions than it resolves. Whatever Sebastian recorded, it clearly shows a presence behind that glass. When he brought the clip to the hotel staff and asked for an explanation, Their answer only deepened the mystery. As far as they were concerned, that room was completely unoccupied. Nobody had been in there. And just like that, Sebastian found himself added to the ever-growing list of visitors who have come away from the Stanley Hotel with an experience they simply cannot account for. Security personnel at a loading dock somewhere in Mexico noticed something unsettling on their surveillance feed. A young girl, dressed entirely in black, appears to be standing close to one of the parked trucks. Two of the guards head outside to check it out, while their colleagues keep watching from the CCTV monitors.
Adelante. A ver, ¿dónde?
Adelante. Caminen hacia atrás 3 pasos. Exactamente está a su espalda y ustedes ahí me ven. Exactamente ahí donde está haciendo su movimiento ahorita. Diles. Adelante, lo escucho.
Ya le abrí aquí la malla al 37, lo dejo que pase hasta del otro lado, lo acompaño al portón y lo dejo que vaya, ¿o qué hago? No hay nada.
Hasta ahí está don Enrique, Cristian.
¿Está atrás de ti, Enrique? Ahí, ya la va.
Here's where things get truly bizarre. Even though the girl is clearly visible on the monitor inside, the guards who are physically out on the lot cannot see her at all, despite her appearing to stand right next to them. The guards inside attempt to guide their co-workers to her exact position over the radio, and one of them sweeps his flashlight all around, yet neither man can make out anything. At a certain point, it genuinely looks like the two outside are starting to think their colleagues at the monitors are just messing with them. But the most chilling detail of all is that as the guards move through the area, they appear to walk directly through the girl's figure, and when one of them swings his flashlight toward her, the beam seems to pass straight through her body. Next clip comes from a baby monitor recording made late at night, and what it captured has left people completely stumped. The camera points straight at the crib, giving a clear close-up view of a toddler fast asleep. Nothing seems off at first glance. The room is bathed in darkness, lit only by the soft glow of the monitor itself, and the whole house sits in total silence. Everything looks perfectly normal.
What the is it? That's so weird. Well.
But look closely, right next to that sleeping child, and you can make out a second head clearly resting inside the crib. It looks like another small child, partly hidden, with its face turned directly toward the lens. A moment later, the figure shifts ever so slightly, moving a tiny hand, just enough to eliminate any theory about shadows or a camera artifact. The man watching the feed panics and bolts toward the room, still recording as he shouts out. When he gets to the crib, it's completely empty. The room is dark. The toddler is alone. There is simply no way another child could have been lying there without anyone knowing. Once the recording was over, he reportedly searched every inch of that room and the rest of the house, turning up absolutely nothing. The video has since gone viral, with people across the internet arguing over whether this was a technical glitch, some kind of reflection, or something far more disturbing silently keeping watch over that sleeping child. Picture this. You're out for a late night drive, maybe unwinding after a long day or heading home from a shift. Then, out of nowhere, you witness something so deeply unsettling that you immediately reach for your phone, because you know nobody's going to believe you otherwise. That's precisely the situation Reddit user Bram10 found themselves in when they uploaded a deeply disturbing clip to the Paranormal Encounters subreddit more than 2 years ago. In the footage, Bram10 can be seen slowly rolling forward in his car while pointing the camera out the side window. It takes a moment to figure out what exactly has caught his attention, but once it clicks, it'll send a chill straight down your spine. Strangely enough, a crowd of more than 30 individuals, every single one of them dressed entirely in black, can be spotted just hanging around this park. Something is clearly off here, though what that something actually is remains completely unclear. One explanation is that this could be some sort of secretive cult gathering. On the other hand, it might just be a large group of people with perfectly innocent intentions who happen to congregate in an unusual way. It's easy to let your mind go somewhere dark, especially when you're looking at 36 people standing silently together after midnight. That said, it's entirely possible this was a performance troupe, some kind of themed meetup, or even an elaborate stunt meant to mess with passing drivers. What makes it genuinely unsettling, though, is that nobody appears to be doing anything at all, just standing motionless in the darkness. Harmless or not, I think the overwhelming majority of people would absolutely not want to stumble upon a scene like this on a solo late-night drive. I'm really curious what you all make of it, though. Do you think something sinister was going on, or is this totally innocent? Next up, we shift our focus to a deeply unsettling event recorded right outside a family's home. The Hernandez family had been sitting down for dinner when something out the window grabbed their attention. When they went back and reviewed their security camera footage, what they found was a dark, semi-transparent shape drifting across their driveway. The family has no doubt in their minds that what they saw was a ghost, quite possibly the spirit of someone who had died in the surrounding area. Throughout the footage, the figure fades in and out of view, which only adds to how eerie and otherworldly the whole thing feels. Skeptics have thrown out explanations like camera malfunctions or optical illusions, but the defined shape and deliberate movement of this anomaly have left a lot of people convinced they're looking at something genuinely paranormal.
And in otherworldly form.
What this case really drives home is that even the most ordinary corners of our everyday lives can suddenly become the backdrop for the following video was filmed from outside, number 43, a weathered, teal-sided place with peeling paint and darkened windows. During the day, moving past it slowly, with what looks like a phone pointed up at the upper floor. Nothing obvious at first, just a tired-looking house under overcast light. Watch.
Yeah. Y'all hear that shit? Okay. Listen. So the guy that lived here moved, right? He left and he said that he was going to live in his car because his wife died or something like that. I don't know, some weird shit, right? And I have not seen this guy since. It's been like, I don't know, a year and a half. These two windows stay open during the blizzard that just went by. Them shits were open. Rain, sleet, shine. I kid you not, the window is always open. I have not seen anybody come in or out of this in like a year and a half, 2 years. Listen, every like 2-3 months, you'll randomly hear some fucking screaming coming from this house, yo. Listen, it's gonna happen again. Watch. It's gonna happen again. Not because I'm f***ing. Watch. You hear it? It's gonna happen again. Somebody's about to walk by. I don't want to get them on the camera.
In the top right window on the upper floor, A dark, head and shoulders silhouette appears for barely a second. No features, no movement, just a shape that fills the glass and then disappears. It happens more than once. Some viewers think it's a person standing inside, which would be the simplest explanation, except the shape doesn't behave the way a person passing a window normally does. It doesn't drift or move through the frame, it materializes and vanishes. Others think it's something that doesn't want to be seen clearly, only noticed. That distinction matters, and the fact that whoever filmed this kept the camera on that window says they thought so too. The following videos both deal with something specific and deeply unsettling, an entity that doesn't just move through a home, but borrows the identity of the person living there. In the first clip, a woman had been recording strange activity in her house for some time, describing it as a melting pot of paranormal things happening to her on a regular basis. One morning, while the house was quiet, she set her phone down near a closed interior door, a door she was nowhere near, and captured something on audio that stopped her cold. Watch.
Hey. 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 I think that is one of the creepiest things that I have ever caught on camera and that I have ever experienced in my life. That sounds almost identical to my voice. Like, I thought it was 100%, and then I listened back to that recording and I was like, something's off. Which is the way it goes with these things, it's always almost correct. I was careful to not respond to it, and after I took that video, I walked away and came back later. But yeah, I guess it's using my voice on me now, which is weird. If this is even the same thing, who knows? We have a melting pot of paranormal things happening in this house and to me at all times. Yeah, that was creepy. I'm so glad that I started recording because no one would believe me without that. Has anyone else ever heard their own voice? That's so weird. Like, I've heard other voices, but my own.
From behind that closed door, a disembodied female voice says, "Hey," 3 times, calm, clear, slightly echoed, as if coming from a hallway just on the other side. And according to her, it sounds almost identical to her own voice. She says she was careful not to respond to it, and you can hear in her retelling exactly how unsettled she is. What makes this harder to dismiss is the detail she added afterward. Her husband told her he'd heard the exact same thing coming from that same door the night before, and had simply ignored it. Both of them, separately, hearing what sounds like her voice calling out from a place she wasn't standing. In paranormal research and folklore alike, this falls into a category often described as mimicry, an entity that reproduces the voice, appearance, or behavior of someone familiar, typically someone who lives in the space. Some believe mimics do this to provoke a response, to get the target to answer back, or let their guard down. Others think it's something older and stranger, an intelligence that absorbs identity rather than simply copying it. The second clip pushes that idea even further. This time, a man was moving through his home at night when he turned a corner and panned his camera into an adjacent room. Watch.
Babe?
Yeah? What's up?
Are you upstairs?
Yeah? Why?
Standing completely still in the corner of the room, facing away from him, is a figure with long, dark hair and a dark, oversized shirt, a figure that looks exactly like his wife. He whispers her name. She answers, from a completely different floor of the house. The two of them confirm out loud, in real time, that she isn't in that room, but the figure stands there anyway. The slowed down replay makes it clearer. A distinct silhouette, motionless, positioned in the corner with its back to the camera. A doppelganger, in the original folkloric sense, is not just a look-alike. Across many European traditions, seeing a perfect double of a living person is considered a deeply ominous sign, sometimes a warning, sometimes something far more predatory attempting to pass as someone trusted. Skeptics will argue staging, and that's a fair point to raise. But the calm, muffled confirmation of the wife's voice from upstairs is the detail that's difficult to script away. 2 clips, 2 homes, 1 pattern, and neither person has figured out how to make it stop. Whatever these things are, they seem to understand exactly who they're imitating, and that alone is what makes this so hard to shake. Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. Now, in this next clip, someone has a wardrobe in their home that they keep tied shut with a lanyard, and at night, they decided to film what's inside it. That detail alone should give you pause. The wardrobe itself is a plain 2-door wooden armoire, nothing obviously threatening from the outside. But the fact that whoever owns this felt the need to keep it fastened closed says something. There's no explanation offered, no context given, just a tattooed hand reaching into frame, untying the lanyard and pulling the door open. Watch.
So I'm sitting here watching a movie and my cabinet yanked. Like, you can still see it moving a little bit. Like the thing I have it tied shut with, and usually it's tighter than that. And see? Look, I told you. I told you something was yanking on it. And it's weird because it's been a long time since it messed with this cabinet. Hello? You want to do it again? Are you trying to get the doors open? Oh, I would take that as a yes. Hello? Is there a reason why? Did you move the door? Yo. Nah, come on, man. And my phone just glitched out, yo, at the same time.
What's inside is a dense, carefully arranged collection of porcelain dolls, clown figurines, horror books, specifically the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series, a framed photograph of an unknown man, a red skull, a small collection of knives, and at the bottom, the box for a Ouija Junior board. The whole thing is completely silent, no reaction, no narration, just the slow, shaky pan across row after row of glassy, unblinking doll eyes staring back at the camera. Some viewers think collections like this are harmless curiosities. Others believe that objects, especially dolls and Ouija boards, stored together in an enclosed space, can act as a kind of anchor for whatever energy they've absorbed over time. What's keeping that door tied shut? This next clip was recorded inside someone's home during the day. Bright light coming through the window, a quiet living room. Nothing unusual on the surface. The man filming, a teenager, or young adult, points his phone at a turned-off TV screen, using it as a mirror to show the room behind him. And that's when he notices it. Watch.
Is it? Am I tripping or is that? There's someone sitting on my couch, but like, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch. Oh my God, it's gone.
In the reflection, a dark, human-shaped figure is clearly sitting upright on the couch. Distinct head, shoulders, torso, but when he pans to the actual couch, it's completely empty. When he looks back at the reflection, the figure is gone. His voice says it all. What, then? Oh my God, it's gone. Some believe what he caught is a residual apparition, an energy imprint that only registers through indirect surfaces, which would explain why it appeared in the reflection, but not in the room itself. You decide what that figure was doing on that couch, and whether it knew it had been seen. This next clip comes from a man who says his circuit breakers have been tripping almost every night, and he's got nowhere else to go. Speaking in Spanish directly to the camera, he explains the situation while moving through his home in complete darkness, the only light coming from his flashlight. Tonight he's had enough. He grabs the camera and starts recording, telling whoever's watching that this is happening to him nearly every single night, that the breakers keep cutting out, and that he has no choice but to keep living there. His voice is already strained before he's even made it down the hallway. Watch.
Chicos, comienzo a grabar. Se me acaba de apagar las palancas otra vez. Se saltaron las jodidas palancas una noche más. Me está sucediendo casi todas las noches, ¿vale? Y que tenga que seguir viviendo aquí porque no tengo dónde ir. ¿Qué cojones es eso, tío? No, 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 no. No, no, no. Voy a llamar.
As the flashlight beam sweeps right, a tall, thin, dark, humanoid figure is standing completely still behind a sheer white curtain, and the moment he sees it, the footage goes chaotic. He screams, runs back down the hall, slams a door behind him, and then something on the other side of that door bangs back, hard. If you focus on those final seconds, you can hear him whimpering, breathing in pure panic, repeating that he's going to call someone, though it's unclear who he thinks can help at that hour. That figure behind the curtain is what's drawn the most attention. It's tall, unnervingly thin, and doesn't move even when the flashlight lands directly on it. Some viewers immediately connected it to what's often called a shadow person, a dark humanoid presence that many describe as featureless, motionless, and deeply aware of whoever's watching it. Others think this could be something more like a residual apparition, an energy imprinted into the space. But what nobody can explain is that bang on the door. What was standing on the other side of it? This next clip was recorded by Larissa's home security camera during the night. A static, wide-angle Xfinity camera mounted high in the corner of her living room, watching over 2 couches and a front door, while her brother slept alone inside. Larissa wasn't home, but she had access to the live feed and could speak directly into the room through the camera's 2-way audio. Her brother was deep asleep on the far couch. You can actually hear him snoring. When, at around the 1-second mark, the front door begins to swing inward, slowly and silently, all on its own. No wind, no one near it. The door drifts to about halfway open and stops there, and then the infrared light cuts out entirely for 3 seconds, plunging the room into near total darkness before flickering back on. Watch.
Yeah. What? What door? Ow. How's your door even open, Larissa? Seriously, man. How's your door even open? The door was locked. How's it even open? Fuck, man. No, I'm not doing nothing. Your cat's fucking here. I'm not doing this, dude. You should be asleep, man. You should be asleep. You should, huh? What? The cat's here, Larissa. Why is the door even fucking open? Why? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Because when I went to bed, the door was closed and locked.
Watching all of this in real time from somewhere else, starts calling through the camera, "Wake up, the door is open," and her brother stirs, confused and groggy, before walking over and closing it. What follows is the part that's hard to dismiss. He checks the door, repeats out loud that it was closed and locked when he went to bed. And when Larissa asks if he could have gotten up and opened it himself, he insists he didn't. The cat was in the room the whole time, which he points out himself. That rules out a pet nudging it. Some viewers think a pressure differential or a faulty latch could explain a slow door swing, but is that really what happened here? This next video was recorded inside what looks like someone's living room late at night. A cluttered, dimly lit space that already feels off before anything actually happens. Red string lights run down the side of a large wooden hutch, casting a warm glow over the mess on the floor. And right at the base of that hutch, a porcelain Pierrot clown doll in a gold and black outfit sits facing the hallway. Further down that hall, a pile of Raggedy Ann dolls is stacked on a chair, and through an open doorway at the far end, the back room is completely dark. The person filming holds the camera low and steady, trained on that hallway, and for nearly half a minute, nothing moves. Watch.
I don't like them footsteps, man. Especially not that bag moving. Sounded like my daughter's door. Like, nope, nope, nope. I was so focused on that noise at my daughter's door, I didn't even see that going shut. Footsteps are crazy, man. Yeah. Come on, dude. I know y'all hear that whispering. Yeah, fuck footsteps, dude. Sorry for my language. I really just don't want this door shutting on my face. Get back a little bit. keep hearing voices. Yo.
Some viewers immediately focused on the dolls, particularly the clown, and the collection of dolls. While there's no evidence that dolls themselves are paranormal, they've occupied a unique place in ghost stories for centuries. Because they resemble people without actually being alive, they've often been used in folklore as symbols of vessels, objects believed by some traditions to attract or temporarily house spiritual energy. Modern paranormal stories have only reinforced that reputation, especially when unusual activity is reported in homes where large antique doll collections are kept. Skeptics, however, point to the house itself. Older homes can carry sounds in strange ways, making footsteps from outside, neighboring rooms, or even expanding floorboards seem far closer than they really are. Whisper-like noises can also be created by distant conversations, electronics, or audio compression in low-light recordings. But you be the judge. The following video was captured by a man who had already grown used to being woken up in the middle of the night by things he couldn't explain, to the point where it had become a routine, something he no longer questioned immediately, but instead documented, almost as if he knew that whatever was happening would eventually show itself on camera. Before this night, he had been dealing with faint knocks at odd hours, objects shifting slightly out of place, and moments where he would wake up feeling like someone had just been standing over him, watching, only for the room to be completely empty when he fully opened his eyes. Over time, it became harder to ignore, especially when he started hearing low sounds at night, scratching, dragging, and at times something that almost resembled breathing, close enough to feel real, but never visible long enough to confirm. So when it happened again that night, when a loud sound suddenly pulled him out of sleep, he reached for his phone, hoping to finally catch something clear enough to explain it all. What he captured instead only made things worse. Watch. The door creaks open first, slow and deliberate, with no one near it. Then a small black creature lunges onto the bed directly at him, letting out a shriek that doesn't sound like anything domestic, followed by a deep growl. Many would immediately label something like this as a demonic presence, and in many reported cases, it's said that when something like this begins to feel comfortable within a space, when it's no longer hiding or limiting itself to small signs, it can escalate even further, sometimes attempting to influence or even possess the person living there. In this next clip, a man in Chihuahua, Mexico, had been running a studio space he'd been using for work. A cluttered, horror-decorated room filled with vintage masks, a porcelain doll, and a large, ornate mirror. He'd already lost a week's worth of security footage because the cloud trial on his camera system expired before he could save anything locally. Then, on a Tuesday night, while he was away recovering from an eye injury, his security camera triggered a movement alert at 9:10 p.m. He ignored it at first. It wasn't until Thursday that he finally came back to check, and that's when things got harder to dismiss. Watch. The security camera, the kind set to tracking mode, begins panning slowly across the empty room on its own, as if following something invisible. Then, a door that was slightly ajar in the background swings fully shut with deliberate, unhurried force. The doll by your right also moved without anyone in sight touching it. When the man arrives with his handheld camera that same night, he walks to a corner of the floor near the desk, a floor he says he'd left spotless, and points the light downward. Have a look.
Fijé un poco. Yo había dejado limpio. Y hay unas huellas ahí. Esos días hizo bastante frío, hizo mucho frío. Bueno, para que alguien anduviera descalzo, lo dudo mucho. Para la gente de aquí de Chihuahua sabe que no se puede andar uno descalzo en la calle. Y luego miren, yo calzo del 9. Ese pie es enorme, está muy grande. No es mi pie. O sea, la verdad sí está muy grande el pie. Y le digo, oí pasos.
A large, dirty, barefoot print on the floor. He holds his own shoe next to it for comparison. He wears a size 9, and the print is noticeably bigger, both in length and width. There was no sign of forced entry, so from that point on, the debate around what's causing all of this only intensified. Some people are convinced the activity is tied to a large mirror he brought into the studio. According to him, the strange occurrences began almost immediately after the mirror arrived. In paranormal belief, mirrors are often considered portals, reflective surfaces believed to thin the boundary between spaces. Many cultures warn that mirrors can act as gateways, allowing entities to observe, attach, or even pass through. If that's the case here, it could explain the sense of being watched, the movement being tracked, and the idea that something is present without fully manifesting. But others believe the mirror isn't the source, it's the doll. Dolls act as vessels, not necessarily haunted at first, but capable of housing or attracting a presence over time. The fact that the doll moves during the footage and that disturbances seem more physical, doors slamming, objects shifting, leads many to think the doll is what's anchoring whatever is inside that studio. And then there are those who think it isn't one or the other, but both. Some believe the mirror may have opened the door, and the doll became the place where whatever came through decided to stay. Until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, a couple decides to do something many people would strongly advise against. Sitting together in a darkened room, candles flickering around them as they place their hands on a Ouija board and ask whatever might be listening to make itself known. Watch. Before this moment, they had already experienced strange activity in their old apartment, which was located right next to a hospital, a detail that, for many people, immediately raises questions, because places like that are often associated with intense emotional energy, loss, and unresolved moments that some believe can linger. They reported hearing unexplained sounds, feeling watched, and noticing subtle disturbances they couldn't explain, which led them to wonder if something might have attached itself to them. So when they moved into their new place, instead of leaving it behind, they made a decision that would change everything, using the Ouija board to find out if whatever they had experienced before had followed them into this new home. Watch.
Anybody there? Is anybody there? Can you give us a sign? Can you give us a sign? God. Oh my God. There's no way. There's no way. Dude, there's nobody in here. There's nobody in here. What is going on? Oh.
Some viewers believe this confirms their fear, that something from their old apartment may have stayed with them. something that didn't leave when they moved, but others argue something far more unsettling, that it wasn't about something following them at all, but about what they may have invited in at that exact moment by choosing to use the board. And that's where the situation takes a more serious turn. Because people familiar with how these sessions are traditionally handled were quick to point out a critical mistake, something that might seem small but carries heavy implications in paranormal belief. The fact that they removed their hands from the planchette without properly closing the session or saying goodbye. According to those beliefs, that final step isn't optional. It's meant to close whatever line of communication has been opened by skipping it. Many believe they didn't just stop the session, they left it unfinished, leaving what some describe as an open doorway, something that doesn't simply close on its own. On another day, they decided to do it again.
Is anybody there? Is anybody there?
No. Jacob, we have to get out. We have to get out.
Moments like this are often used as examples when people talk about the risks tied to using a Ouija board, not because of what is guaranteed to happen, but because of what can happen when boundaries aren't understood or respected. The idea isn't just that something might respond, but that once that line is opened, it may not always be clear what exactly is responding, or whether it intends to leave when you're done. And that's the part many people overlook, because it's not always about whether something followed them from before. Sometimes it's about what they may have invited in, without fully understanding how to send it back. This next video was recorded by a man who has been documenting what he describes as an increasingly aggressive haunting inside his home. And by the time this footage begins, he's already terrified before he even reaches the bottom of the stairs. It started with smaller disturbances, noises in the night, his dog refusing to behave normally downstairs, a growing sense that whatever was in the house was no longer passive. He blames the spirits for recent bad luck in his life, including a car accident, and on this particular night, he grabs his phone and heads downstairs because something has set his dog off again. Watch.
Nouvelle vidéo, on entend du bruit, mon chien s'est énervé d'un coup. Devient catastrophique. Les esprits deviennent agressifs. Oui, j'arrive, ma fille. Et pire, c'est qu'ils me portent la poisse. Là, il y a 2 jours, les gendarmes m'ont rentré dans la voiture. Elle était devant chez moi, mais la voiture est épave. Beaucoup de chance. Beaucoup de chance. Et l'excuse, c'est le keuf avait une poussière dans l'œil. Vous y croyez, vous? Ben, moi, malheureusement. Oh putain, c'est quoi ce bordel encore, putain. Ça fait que ça, c'est incroyable. On essaie de trouver des solutions, mais il n'y a rien qui marche. Cherche, mon chien, cherche. Il y a quelque chose? Oh putain. Ça devient bizarre. What the... Oh putain, ça m'a piqué. Ah. Putain, c'est quoi ça? Mais c'est quoi ce délire? C'est quoi ce délire, putain de merde? Oh là là. Putain, c'est quoi ce délire? Putain de merde. Ça devient n'importe quoi ce baraque. Si vous avez des idées, des conseils. Ah, des idées, des conseils, je suis preneur. Honnêtement, ça... Oh putain, c'était quoi ça? Oh fuck off. Oh sa merde. C'était quoi ça, putain? C'était quoi cette merde? Fille. Ah, putain. Ah, fille. Qu'est-ce qui t'arrive? Non. Non. Mais non. C'est quoi ce délire? Mais c'est quoi ce délire, putain de ça? C'est quoi ce voix de sa mère, putain? Sa mère.
He claims to feel fingers pressing along his spine, then shouts out in pain as the camera lurches violently, as if something struck him. Then it got worse. The television switches on by itself, blasting loud, dramatic music into the dark room, and his dog stands near the glass door, with her tail tucked, too frightened to move. He uses the remote to shut it off, but within minutes, it turns back on, this time changing channels and raising its own volume, while the remote sits on the floor in front of it. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a type of disturbance associated with physical force and object manipulation rather than a simple haunting. But the man's response to all of this is what makes the second clip even more unsettling, because rather than leave, he keeps confronting it. Watch.
Prochaine vidéo, j'ai décidé de me battre contre cette chose malveillante.
Horrible. Ça fait un moment que j'ai pas fait de vidéo, mais là ça empire. De jour en jour. Des marques, des griffes. C'est insupportable. Putain. Ah, c'est toi qui me fais peur. Alors, il y a quelqu'un? Putain, c'est insupportable. Putain. Putain, c'est quoi cette merde encore? Non, mais c'est pas possible.
He descends the same staircase again, speaking in a tense, hushed voice, saying things are getting worse day by day. Marks, scratches, unbearable. His dog startles him in the dark. Then a loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera. The camera whips sideways, and from inside a closed toy chest, a child's musical melody begins playing on its own. He opens the lid. The music cuts off the moment he slams it shut. For some viewers, a toy activating inside a sealed chest with no one near it lands differently than anything electronic. It feels deliberate, like something announcing itself. And if that's true, the question isn't whether it's still down there, it's whether it ever planned to stop. Now in this next clip, a man is riding his motorcycle alone down a dark, isolated road at night, heading to a wedding, when something on the roadside stops him cold. At that hour, there's usually nothing to see except the road ahead, so when something appears in the distance, it immediately stands out. Watch.
Fuck, man. Oh, fuck, bastard! Oh, shit! Oh, shit, man! Oh, shit, man! Oh!
As his headlight stretches forward, it catches the outline of a figure walking along the road, tall, pale, and unnaturally still in the way it carries itself, not reacting to the approaching motorcycle, not stepping aside, just continuing forward, like it doesn't even acknowledge him being there. And that's where it starts to feel wrong. Some viewers believe what he encountered could have been a ghost, the kind often described in roadside sightings, figures that appear briefly, usually at night, sometimes tied to past accidents or tragedies, known to show up without warning and disappear just as quickly leaving the person who saw them questioning what they just experienced. So if you were riding down that same road, alone, and that figure appeared in your headlights, would you slow down and try to understand what you're looking at? Or would you keep going and not look back? Now, in this next video, a man claims that every single night when he returns to his home, something is already there waiting for him, and he decides to prove it. The building itself looks abandoned in stretches, a barrack-style structure at the end of a dark gravel path, lit only by a single street lamp overhead. One night, he hears footsteps like someone running around the house. Shortly after, this happens.
I don't know what that was, so I'm gonna set up my camera here. Watch down the hallway.
Some viewers believe this kind of activity points directly to a poltergeist, but until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. The following clip is about a man named Daniel Thompson, who occasionally returns to stay for a few days at the family home where he and his sister grew up. Recently, due to some accommodation issues, he's been staying there more often, and during those visits, he says he's begun noticing things in the house that he can't easily explain. According to Daniel, the strange feeling isn't entirely new. In fact, he believes something may have been present in that house since they were children. One reason he gives is his mother's unusual hobby. She has always been an avid collector, filling the house over the years with all kinds of strange antiques, dolls, puppets, and odd artifacts she picked up from flea markets, thrift stores, and estate sales. And one item in particular has always unsettled him, the dollhouse sitting in his sister's room. Daniel says that almost every time he walks past that room, he hears a faint knocking sound coming from inside. And for some reason, he's convinced the sound is coming from the dollhouse itself. Watch this. After hearing the knocking so many times, Daniel began wondering if one of the strange items his mother brought into the house years ago might have something attached to it. And considering how many eerie collectibles fill the rooms, it's not hard to see why the thought crossed his mind. In the next clip, you'll see some of the unusual items his mother has collected over the years. Take a look.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago, like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where, and it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
His mother has several old dolls, puppets, and handmade figures, some of which already look unsettling even before anything strange happens. But viewers watching the footage noticed something that Daniel didn't mention right away. Toward the end of the video, just before he says, "Freaks me out," many people claim they can hear what sounds like the faint voice of a young girl somewhere in the background. And then there were the comments about one particular doll, the red one in the beginning of the clip. Several viewers said the doll had what they described as bad juju written all over it, with others pointing out the puppet beside it also looked unusually sinister. But according to Daniel, those aren't even the creepiest dolls in the house. There was one they absolutely couldn't stand while growing up. Watch this. If you look closely at the doll wearing the blue shirt and purple pants, something odd happens. For a brief moment, its eyes appear to blink. It's subtle, but once you notice it, it's difficult to unsee. Still, the most convincing moment for Daniel came after he decided to move the dollhouse out of the room. Almost immediately, the knocking sound stopped. For a while, the house became completely quiet again. But then something else happened. The knocking started again, in the room where he had moved the dollhouse, and that alone was enough to make him uneasy. Eventually, Daniel decided to spend a night at a friend's house, just to get away from the place for a while. But while he was there, his phone rang. It was his mother asking if he was back home trying to scare her. Confused, he told her he was still at his friend's place, so she sent him a video recorded by the living room security camera. Watch this. In the footage, the living room appears completely empty, but after a few seconds, faint footsteps can be heard moving through the house. At first, she thought Daniel might be playing some kind of prank, but after confirming he wasn't home at all, the situation suddenly felt a lot more serious. For the first time, she started wondering if something else might actually be moving through the house, and if the sounds really were coming from whatever was inside that dollhouse, then moving it may not have solved the problem. It might have just moved the problem somewhere else. Until more updates come from Daniel and his family, all anyone can do for now is hope whatever is happening there doesn't get worse. In this next video, a team of paranormal investigators return to the Wheelhouse in London, a historic building dating all the way back to 1885. Today, the building operates as a pottery business, but according to local stories and previous investigations, the place may hold more than just clay and pottery wheels. During an earlier investigation, the team believed they had captured evidence suggesting a female spirit might be connected to the building, possibly dating back to the time of World War II. Wanting to learn more about who, or what, might still be present there, they decided to return for another night of investigation. Watch this.
The lady that wanders here that leaves the smell of a fragrance, a perfume. What was that, Phil? I heard knocking. Did you hear knocking?
I don't know.
As soon as I mentioned the lady.
While Phil, one of the investigators, is speaking about World War II and the history surrounding the area, something unusual happens. In the background, a faint whisper can be heard. quiet, but distinct enough that several viewers immediately noticed it. Listen closely.
Until after the war, when they decided that they were going to go back to what they knew best, and that was shop fitting. Now, one of the directors was a chap called George
Hold on, Phil.
Until after the war, when they decided that they were going to go back to what they knew best, and that was shop fitting. Now, one of the directors was a chap called George.
Hold on, Phil.
In this part of the recording, a voice can be heard saying something that sounds like, "The Yankees are here." The phrase immediately caught the team's attention because during World War II, American soldiers, often referred to as Yankees, were stationed throughout parts of the United Kingdom. Some viewers believe the voice could be connected to someone who lived through that time, perhaps replaying a moment from the past when American troops arrived in the area. Trying to get more answers, the investigators continue attempting to communicate with whatever might be present in the building, and that's when this happens.
Last time we were here, this particular area we're sat in now, we heard quite a few noises. We heard the china being moved or knocked against. Could you do that again, perhaps on... What's that?
It's the REM pod going into alarm. The temperature's gone into alarm.
Oh, I heard a chink of something as well.
Yeah, I did. Somewhere behind you on the pottery again, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Could you do that again for me, please?
Suddenly, the REM pod, a device used by investigators to detect electromagnetic disturbances, goes into alarm. According to the team, the device reacted at the same moment they felt a sudden drop in temperature in the room. Then, almost immediately afterward, a sharp sound echoes through the building, like a piece of pottery being struck or knocked over somewhere nearby. The investigators pause, waiting to see if anything else will happen, and before long, they hear something else. Watch this.
Do you want me to talk to you about the war, as you asked? If you do, could you knock maybe the pottery again or bang on the table?
Someone's walking.
I heard something then.
Just heard footsteps.
You can hear clear footsteps, as though someone is walking through the building. What makes the moment unsettling is that the investigators confirm they are completely alone inside the space. No other staff, no customers, no one else who could be walking around the pottery workshop. Yet the footsteps sound deliberate, like someone slowly moving across the floor nearby. Old buildings often carry strange sounds, shifting wood, echoing pipes, distant vibrations traveling through the structure. But moments like this still leave people wondering if something else might still be moving through places, long after the people who once lived there are gone. So was it echoes from the past, or a spirit tied to the building's wartime history? You decide. Now in this next video, a woman named Genevieve hears something that catches her attention late in the evening. From another room, she can hear her young daughter talking, not just babbling or playing, but clearly speaking as if she's having a conversation with someone. Curious and a little confused, Genevieve calls out to her daughter, asking who she's talking to. A moment later, the little girl begins walking out of the dark room toward her mother. But as she steps out, something else appears in the footage. Watch closely.
Lorelei, come here. Lorelei, who are you playing with? What are you doing?
At first glance, many people's first reaction is probably the same, a shadow. But when viewers started looking closer, several details made the situation far more unsettling. For one thing, the room behind the child is almost completely dark. There's no obvious light source inside the room that could project a shadow that clearly across the space. Yet the dark figure seems to move independently from the girl herself. And if you slow the footage down, the shape doesn't match her body. The child is only wearing a diaper and a small t-shirt, but the figure behind her appears to have something hanging behind its legs, almost like a robe or long piece of fabric trailing downward. Even stranger is the way it moves. Instead of stretching or bending like a normal shadow would, when projected onto a wall or floor, the shape walks upright, moving through the middle of the room as if it has depth, almost like a three-dimensional figure rather than a flat shadow. Some viewers also pointed out something else that's hard to ignore. The dark figure appears to move before the child moves. Normally, a shadow reacts to the movement of the person creating it. It follows their motion, delayed only by fractions of a second. But in this case, the dark form seems to step forward slightly ahead of the girl. Another strange detail is where it appears in the frame. Shadows usually need a surface to be projected onto, a wall, a floor, or another object. But this figure seems to pass across open space in the middle of the room before fading away, almost like something briefly walking beside the child. If Genevieve's daughter really was talking to someone in that dark room, maybe the camera briefly captured who or what she was talking to. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. The following video revolves around something that, at first glance, sounds impossible. A phone that keeps ringing even though it has no power connected to it. The phone has been sitting inside the house for years, an old landline model that the family kept mostly as a decoration after it stopped working. But recently, it started doing something strange. Watch this.
This haunted phone rings without power.
Out of nowhere, the phone begins ringing. Naturally, the first reaction was to pick it up and see who might be calling. But every time someone answered it, there was nothing on the other end of the line. No voice, no static, no sound at all, just silence. And the strange part is that the phone isn't even connected to an active power source. When the clip was first shared, many viewers were quick to offer a simple explanation. Some said it might be a recurring electrical spark somewhere in the wiring of the house, or perhaps leftover electricity briefly triggering the ringer. Wanting to rule that out, the owners actually opened the phone to inspect it, but inside, there was nothing that could realistically hold power long enough to make the phone ring repeatedly. No battery, no capacitor, large enough to store energy for more than a few seconds. And this wasn't a modern device either. The phone had reportedly been in the house since the 1970s. That detail made the situation even more unsettling for some viewers. Older landline phones are mechanical in nature, meaning the ringing sound usually requires a proper electrical signal traveling through the phone line. Without that signal, the bell simply shouldn't ring, which led some people to speculate about another possibility. Ringing phones are sometimes linked to what investigators call phantom calls, Strange events where disconnected phones ring or pick up signals that can't easily be traced. Of course, there are still many possible explanations, from unusual wiring in the walls to interference coming from nearby lines. But when a phone that shouldn't have power suddenly starts ringing in the middle of a quiet house, it's hard not to wonder who, or what, might be trying to call. And the strangest part? Even after all the attempts to answer it, no one has ever been on the other end of the line. Now in this next video, a man named Nate, someone already recognized for the strange activity that has been happening inside his home, records something unsettling while visiting a cemetery for work. At first it was faint, like something shifting or moving somewhere between the rows of graves. Since he knew he was the only person there at the time, the noises immediately put him on edge. Watch this.
I heard you over there. I heard you moving around. Let me know you're here. Close that door. Yes, this is your cemetery, I know. I'm just trying to keep it nice for you. Keep it maintained and looking nice, out of respect. I'm not trying to So I'm hearing shuffling now. It sounded like it was behind the cement mixer. Fast footsteps or something that was back there. Clearly you can see there's nothing back there. So, not sure what that was. Gotta reach behind there. Alright then. That. A rainy day up here. Gotta love it. I swear, anytime the weather is like this, weird shit happens. So let's hope today is not one of those days. There's that thing. Holy f***. Yeah, that's just great. Hell no.
The area around him seems quiet, but the sounds continue, almost like someone slowly moving nearby while staying just out of sight. Nate tries to brush it off and continues filming, but the uneasy feeling never really leaves. Later in the video, after it gets darker, something even more disturbing appears. If you look closely beside the window, there's a faint figure standing there. It's difficult to make out clearly, but the shape is just visible enough to resemble someone watching from the side. And there's another detail many viewers didn't notice the first time. Earlier in the video, before the scene near the window, a shadowy figure can be seen standing outside in the background. The shape is dark and still, blending into the surroundings, which is probably why it's so easy to miss at first. After seeing the footage, many viewers started connecting it to the strange experiences Nate has already shared from his home. The unexplained scratches he sometimes wakes up with, objects being thrown across rooms, and sharp items suddenly moving without explanation. Because of that, some people began wondering if whatever has been causing those disturbances might not be limited to his house. Maybe it followed him, or worse, maybe it started somewhere else entirely. Cemeteries have long been associated with stories of restless spirits and lingering energy, places where the line between the living and the dead is often believed to be thinner than usual. So the question many people asked after watching the video was simple. Did Nate unknowingly bring something back with him from the cemetery that night? Or had it already been with him long before he ever stepped foot there? Again, I'll leave you to be the judge.